Vacation time, or at least it was this last weekend. I'd like to talk about my vacation, and you let me know. Are vacations something that you go on, or are they something that maybe you don't even enjoy? Just got back from a little vacation myself, just a little 4-day mini vacation on a float trip in southern Missouri. So first off, I want to know, are float trips something that y'all do in your state? Because it's not something that I was even aware of until we moved up to Missouri. I'm from Georgia. There are plenty of rivers and creeks down there. It actually kind of puts Missouri to shame in that regard. But float trips aren't a thing that people do in Georgia. It's just not. So I want to know, in your neck of the woods, where are you? What state or what country? What place here on the earth? Where are you? And are float trips a thing? Is this something where you can go out and you rent some tubes, or are there shuttles that you can do? I know up in the Carolinas that you can have shuttles, you can buy shuttles, but a lot of times it's more like whitewater rafting, or it's going to be whitewater canoes or something like that. Not just easy, lazy floating like it would be in southern Missouri. So I'm really interested in that. Is that something that you've ever done, or something that's even available to you? And do you like them if you've ever been on one? So in Missouri, float trips are a pretty big thing, and there's a bunch of rivers down in southern Missouri. We went on the Niangua, which is a very pretty river. It's spring fed, it's super cold in a lot of places. The springs in Missouri come out either 54, 55, 56 degrees, pretty dang cold. So it's very refreshing on a hot day, and when it's only like low 80s, that water's really cold. It's kind of nice when it's in the 90s. Just how it is, I guess. But Missouri is, it's interesting in that way. So these creeks are super clear. There's a lot of fish in them. And these particular waterways, there's not a lot of junk fish. So like carp haven't gotten into them yet. So it's going to be like rainbow trout, smallmouth bass, generally a lot of, panfish, sunfish, stuff like that. A lot of different types of trout, and there's a lot of farms as well. So trout farms where we went, Bennett Springs dumps into it, and Bennett Springs itself has a big trout farm, and so there's like overflow fish. Whenever it floods, the fish kind of get out, although they do have traps for a lot of them. Even so, they still get out, and I'm sure at some point they release them into the river. So there's a lot of trout fishermen down there. A lot of things to do, just absolutely beautiful. There's the 11 Point, there's just oodles and oodles of creeks in Missouri. So we went out, and on Saturday, it was super busy. This is like where everybody goes, I guess, kind of the party river in a lot of ways. And our crew was definitely partying, having a good time. And it's always interesting when you get out on a float like this, it's going to be a certain length of time. You're just kind of stuck on there. You're floating, and either you can exert a lot of energy if you're like in a canoe and get down there fast, or you're probably going to be in a raft or a floating device. And you can rent just like inner tubes, basically, because there's not really rapids. Every now and then there'll be like a rock or a stick or something. But it's really easy going on these particular creeks, which is, I think, why they're popular in a lot of ways. A guy like me, I grew up doing class 3, 4, and 5 rapids. Class 5 rapids with other people that were experienced, but still, I'm part of the boat. I'm sitting there paddling, and on the 5s, if I was in my kayak, I would hop into somebody else's canoe, get down the really tough parts, and then on the 4s and 3s, kind of no big deal, because I grew up doing it. And so you hear people like, oh, the rapids are coming up on these, which are like class 0.5. It's not even a class. It's kind of a chuckle, it's like, oh, there's a rock in this 100-foot wide section. Now, I should note, just kind of an aside here, that the amount of water that flows through just the Niangua, which is technically a river, it puts even the Colorado River to shame. You go into Colorado, and coming from Missouri, at least, where we have the Missouri, which is freaking huge, the Colorado River, which waters pretty much all of Colorado, it's a teeny little trickle compared to even the Niangua, which is just basically a tributary when it boils down to it. But it's kind of interesting talking to people from other states and what they consider rivers. What we would consider like streams and creeks are bigger than the rivers in a lot of states. And that's the same for Georgia as well. That the rivers, the creeks, the streams down there are really huge. Even this one that I used to go on as a kid, the Cedar Creek, which is One of the most popular names in the country, the Branchy and Cedar Creek are like two super popular names. So even up here in Missouri, there's a Cedar Creek in this county, and the county that I grew up in, Georgia, there's a Cedar Creek as well. At any rate, the Cedar Creek down in Georgia is also bigger than the Colorado River when it's like in Denver, which is kind of funny to me because it's just, it's like a little floating creek, right? At any rate, let's see, what was I talking about? Creeks, streams, rivers, floating. Yes, so Saturday, really busy. You're stuck on the river for a certain amount of time, and I think our put in was, like 10 o'clock, and we got off right at 5. So quite a few hours. You got to make sure you pack enough drinks, whether that's an alcoholic beverage or water, or both preferably, not just one. A lot of people make that mistake. And then you also need enough food for that period of time. And what a lot of people do is they'll end up packing more alcoholic beverages, not enough water, not enough food. And by the time you get to the end of it, tempers can be kind of flaring. People are hungry, they're hangry, they may be really drunk. And so it's always interesting when you go on these floats, not even people in your own group, people in all the other groups, when you get closer and closer to that takeout point, you're seeing a lot of real emotions coming out. And whether it's frustration of like, oh, we almost tipped, or we did tip, or, I lost some stuff, or I'm hungry, or I'm just way too drunk, whatever it is, these are trips that will either be a really good bonding experience for a group, or they will break a group apart, and sometimes irreparably. I've actually seen where people will come on a trip and, hey, these people are real cool, awesome, they definitely need to come on a trip with us. And you get to the end of the float and it's like, yeah, they're not the person that I thought they were, because you get under stress, maybe you're drunk, and when the emotions come out and kind of like the real person comes out, some people, it turns out, they can't handle that kind of thing. Or it turns out that maybe they're just not a very considerate person when it really boils down to it. And it's unfortunate, and at the same time, it's kind of funny to watch. And one thing that I've learned over the years is that it's time to get dinner started before you even get back, is what it is. So on the second day, on the Sunday, I stayed back. I'd had way too much sun on Saturday anyways, even though, I slathered myself, it still was too much for me. So I stayed back, and I made sure that I had the fire going for everybody on Sunday when they came back. And yeah, of course, there were people fighting when they got back because they were really hungry. And, and of course, this wasn't people being inconsiderate, but this was people being maybe a little drunk, definitely super hungry. And, there was a couple of issues here and there on the river, like, where's my thing, or I needed to do this, and you couldn't help me out with it, sort of thing. And that's normal, of course, but I made sure it's like, hey, we got hot fire, guys. Like, anybody hungry? Can I throw in some hot dogs for you? Like, and that actually smoothed it over. We got back, there was a little bit of bickering here and there, and as soon as everybody was, full belly, then suddenly everybody's getting along and apologizing. I'm sorry I raised my voice at you. And really, there wasn't much of that this year. I've seen years where it is much worse. The group that we have at this point has, kind of been condensed down into the people that can handle it. And even if you get a little hot-tempered at the end of the day, we all kind of know it's coming. And so it's no big deal. You just kind of, let people do their things, and we move on with a full belly, and we feel a lot better. And then, of course, late at night, we party a little bit. I brought my DJ equipment. I did not bring any toys, however, besides my DJ equipment, and DJ the party until like 4 a.m. It was an awesome time. I slept extra before the day, after the day, and I'm actually ahead by 4 hours in sleep this week, which is usually not how this goes. So as a end cap on this, I was really torn about bringing my crawlers. When I go on vacation, I'm always really torn about crawlers. And this is a crawler channel, of course, and my everyday is pretty much dealing with crawlers. So if I'm going somewhere and it's not a crawling event, I have this decision. Do I bring crawlers and bring work with me, and I'll still have fun, don't get me wrong, I love crawling, or do I completely disconnect myself from it and have a true vacation to where I come back and I'm ready to play with toys now because I haven't had them for 4 days as it's been. So let me know in the comments how you would handle that sort of situation. Do you want to bring your crawlers with you wherever you go, or do you want to completely disconnect from everything that you do when you normally go out on your vacation? So I even turned off my phone almost the entire time. I kept it on while I was going down there. I would turn it on every now and then to let the family know what's going on. And then other than that, I turned my phone off. I had no scrolling. Of course, there wasn't, they said there was 5G and my phone said there was 5G, but there was no data down there. Down in South Missouri, it's It's pretty BFE out there. So I completely disconnected. There was no scrolling, there was no YouTube, no Facebook, no nothing for me. I did bring the Mega Minx and tried to, it was not good. With a one beer, you can't solve Rubik's Cubes, or at least I can't. Not the new ones. So that's what I did. I completely disconnected. It was amazing. I DJ'd a whole bunch, more hours than I probably should have. I stayed up way too late and I had a great time. Got a little sun. And now I am refreshed and ready for the day or the night or whatever time it is. Yep, it's time to get to work. So that's what we're gonna do next. Let me know in the comments about your vacations and whether or not float trips are even a thing in your area. Have you ever gone on one? They're a great time in my opinion, something that I really like to do every year, whether you're camping or glamping or RVing or whatever the case is. Just getting out on that water, seeing some eagles, seeing some weird fish in the water. There's those, what's that one fish? They're long, they got big teeth to them. And when you try to shoot them with a bow, a lot of times, a gar, yes. There's a lot of gar in these creeks, which is really cool, and they eat other fish. Anyway, I'm going to get on another aside. Yeah, it's hard to bow fish for gar because they've got such plates on their head that it'll just ricochet right off them unless you get them right in between a scale. So yeah, there you go. What do you like to do on vacation? Let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.